According to legend, the origins of the city that would one day become Istanbul date back to around 600 BC, when a Greek explorer named Bos led colonists from the city of Megara to establish a new settlement at the entrance of the Bosphorus. The story goes that before Bos departed on his voyage, he consulted the oracle of Delphi, who cryptically advised him to found his new city opposite the land of the blind. Only upon reaching the Bosphorus did Balatas understand this message. On the Asian side of the water lay the town of Chalcedon, whose founders he deemed blind for failing to recognize the superior strategic and economic potential of the European side directly across the strait. Here, Bos and his followers established a colony named Byzantium after their leader. For the next 1,000 years, Byzantium would occupy a fascinating yet secondary role in the Mediterranean world, operating primarily as a prosperous Greek trading port and naval base. Its geography was its destiny, straddling the crossroads of Europe and Asia and bridging the Black Sea to the Mediterranean. Yet, despite its immense potential, it remained largely overshadowed by grander imperial capitals. All of that changed in the early 4th century AD. The Roman Empire, vast and fractious, was plunging into political turmoil. Out of the chaos emerged Constantine the Great, a visionary emperor who sought to reinvent the Roman state. Recognizing that Rome, with its pagan traditions and declining strategic relevance, was no longer fit to anchor the empire, Constantine cast his gaze eastward. In 324 AD, he selected Byzantium as the site for his grand new imperial capital. On November 6, 330 AD, after years of massive construction, the city was officially inaugurated. Named New Rome, it would soon become universally known as Constantinople, the city of Constantine. This was not merely a relocation of the capital, it was the birth of a new era. Constantinople was purposefully engineered to rival Rome itself. It was built across 7 hills, protected by formidable walls and adorned with grand basilicas, hippodromes, and forums. More importantly, it was conceived as a Christian capital, cementing the growing fusion of Roman statecraft and Christian faith. The empire ruled from Constantinople is what modern historians call the Byzantine Empire, though its citizens simply considered themselves Romans. For over a millennium, this remarkable city stood as the heartbeat of medieval civilization. While Western Europe descended into the fragmented instability of the Middle Ages, Constantinople shone as a beacon of immense wealth, cultural sophistication, and military power. It was the ultimate prize, coveted by empires near and far. Throughout its history, the city's legendary triple-walled defense system proved to be an almost insurmountable obstacle for would-be conquerors. It withstood massive sieges by the Persians, Avars, Arabs, and Bulgars, preserving not only the Roman imperial legacy, but also classical Greek philosophy, literature, and science, which would later spark the Renaissance. Yet, the city's staggering wealth also made it a target for greed and betrayal. In 1204, during the Fourth Crusade, the forces of Western Christendom turned their swords away from the Holy Land and instead besieged, captured, and brutally sacked Constantinople. Cathedrals were pillaged, ancient works of art were destroyed or stolen, and the empire was fractured into rival states. Although the Byzantines managed to recapture the city in 1261, it was a shadow of its former self. Decimated by decades of occupation, depopulation, and economic ruin, the once mighty empire was now a fragile remnant, encircled by a rapidly rising power, the Ottoman Turks. By the 15th century, the Ottomans, led by the ambitious and brilliant young Sultan Mehmed II, controlled the vast majority of the surrounding lands. Constantinople was now little more than an island in a sea of Turkish dominance. The writing was on the wall. In April 1453, Mehmed II laid siege to the city with an army numbering around 80,000 to 100,000 men, alongside state-of-the-art massive cannons capable of blasting through ancient stone walls. Against them stood the Byzantine Emperor, Constantine C, commanding a desperate garrison of barely 7,000 defenders, including foreign volunteers. What followed was one of the most iconic sieges in military history. For nearly 2 months, the outnumbered defenders held firm, repelling wave after wave of assaults. In a stroke of tactical brilliance, Mehmed even hauled his warships overland on greased wooden logs to bypass the defensive chain blocking the Golden Horn. Finally, on the morning of May 29, 1453, the Ottomans launched their final, all-out assault. Amidst the chaos, the legendary defenses were breached, and Emperor Constantine died fighting valiantly in the streets. Constantinople had fallen. The Byzantine Empire was no more. Entering the conquered city, Sultan Mehmed II viewed the magnificent ruins and immediately ordered the conversion of the Grand Hagia Sophia into a mosque, marking a profound turning point in global history. Renamed Istanbul, the city was revitalized under Ottoman rule. It transitioned from the capital of Eastern Christendom into the dazzling heart of a vast Islamic superpower, the Ottoman Empire. Over the next several centuries, Istanbul was transformed architecturally and culturally. Sultans commissioned breathtaking imperial mosques, bustling bazaars, opulent palaces like Topkapi, and intricate fountains that blended Islamic, Persian, and Byzantine architectural styles. It became a cosmopolitan metropolis, home to Muslims, Christians, and Jews, living side by side under the Pax Ottoman, serving as the ultimate nexus where East met West. By the 19th century, however, the Ottoman Empire had earned the moniker the sick man of Europe, battered by internal decay, nationalism, and Western colonial pressure. During World War I, the Ottomans aligned with the Central Powers, and following their defeat, Istanbul found itself occupied by Allied forces. The ancient imperial capital seemed poised for partition. But out of the ashes of defeat rose the Turkish War of Independence, led by the visionary military commander Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. Atatürk successfully rallied the Turkish nation, expelled the occupying foreign powers, and abolished the Ottoman Sultanate. In 1923, the newly founded Republic of Turkey declared Ankara as its official capital, moving the seat of government to the Anatolian heartland. For the first time in over 1,600 years, Istanbul was no longer a political capital. Yet, it remained the beating cultural and economic heart of the nation. Today, Istanbul stands as a living bridge of time and culture. With a population exceeding 15 million people, it is a mesmerizing metropolis where towering modern skyscrapers cast shadows over ancient Roman aqueducts, Byzantine churches, and Ottoman minarets. It is a city defined by the Bosphorus Strait, a shimmering waterway that continues to separate continents while binding them together. From a humble Greek trading colony to the glorious capital of Rome, Byzantium, Constantinople, and finally Istanbul, the city's story is a testament to resilience, ambition, and the eternal clash and fusion of civilizations. Thank you for watching this deep dive into history. If you enjoyed this journey through time, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more epic stories here on History Beyond Time.